Hi friends, I welcome you all in the lecture series for AMVI Mains Examination, a complete guide. Today in this lecture, we will be discussing about second law of thermodynamics. The objectives of this lecture are to introduce the second law of thermodynamics, discuss thermal energy reservoirs, heat engines, refrigerators, and heat pumps. Then describe the Kelvin Planck and Clausius statements of the second law of thermodynamics. Then determine the expressions for thermal efficiencies and COPs for heat engines, heat pumps, and refrigerators respectively. And at last, discuss the concepts of perpetual motion machines. Let us let us start with the limitations of first law of thermodynamics. Let us start with one common experience that a cup of hot coffee kept in a cooler room. That hot coffee will cool off eventually after some time. So this process satisfies the first law of thermodynamics since the amount of energy lost by this coffee is equal to the amount of heat gained by the surrounding air. Now let us consider the reverse process. The hot coffee getting even hotter in a cooler room as a result of heat transfer from the cool that room air. Okay, we all know that this process never takes place, and yet doing so would not violate the first law as long as the amount of energy lost by this air is equal to the amount of gained by the copy. As another familiar example, let us take another. Consider heating of a room by the passage of electric current through a resistor. Again, the first law dictates that the amount of electrical energy supplied to the resistance wire be equal to the amount of energy transferred to the room air as heat. Correct. Now let us attempt to the reverse this process. It will come as no surprise that transferring some heat to the wires does not cause an equivalent amount of electrical energy to be generated in this wire. Finally, it is clear from these arguments that process proceed in a certain direction only, not in a reverse direction. The first law places no restrictions on the direction of process. This is a limitation. But satisfying the first law does not ensure that the process can actually occur or not. So this inadequacy of the first law to identify whether a process can take place is remedied by introducing another general principle called as second law of thermodynamics. Getting? We should discuss this in this lecture that the reverse process which violate the above, that is second law of thermodynamics. So this violation is easily detected with the help of one property called as entropy, and a process cannot occur unless it satisfies the both law, that is first and second law of thermodynamics. This point to be noted. So there are numerous valid statements of the second law of thermodynamics. Two such statements are presented and discussed later in this video in relation to some engineering devices that operates on cycle. The use of second law of thermodynamics is not limited to the identifying the direction of the process. However, the second law of thermodynamics also asserts that energy has a quality and as well as quantity. The first law is concerned only with the quantity of energy and the transformation of energy from one form to another with no regard to its quality. Preserving the quality of the energy is a major concern to the engineers, and the second law provides the necessary means to determine the quality as well as the degree of degradation of the that energy during that your process. As we know that more of temperature, high temperature energy can be converted to the work, and thus it has a higher quality than the same amount of energy at a lower temperature. So the second law of thermodynamics is also used in determining the theoretical limits for the performance of commonly used engineering systems such as heat engines and refrigerators, etc. So here I have given some interpretations about the second law of thermodynamics. Okay, so let us start with some basic terms, that is thermal energy reservoirs. Okay, so this thermal energy reservoirs is defined as a large body of infinite heat capacity which is capable of absorbing or rejecting an unlimited quantity of heat without suffering appreciable change in its thermodynamic conditions coordinates. All processes are quasi static. Now in that again, in practical practice, large bodies of water such as oceans, lakes, and rivers, as well as the atmospheric air, can be modeled accurately as a thermal energy reservoirs because of their larger thermal energy storage capacities. Okay, and a reservoir that supplies the energy in the form of heat is called source. Is called source, and one that absorbs energy in the form of heat, no, it is called as sink. Heat sink. The thermal energy reservoirs are often referred to the heat reservoirs. Okay, this point should be noted, and since they supply or absorb energy in the form of heat. Okay, this is basic term. Now let us start with the heat engines. So as pointed out earlier, work can easily be converted to other form of energy, but converting other form of energy to a work is not that easy. The mechanical work done by the shaft as shown in this figure, for example, is firstly this mechanical energy is firstly converted to the internal energy of the water, and this energy may then leave the water as a heat. We know from experience that any attempt to reverse this process will fail. That is, transferring heat to the water does not cause the shaft to rotate. From this and another observations, we conclude that work can be converted to heat directly and completely. But converting heat to the work requires the use of some special devices, and these special devices are called heat engines. Are called heat engines. So heat engines differ considerably from the another devices, but all can be characterized by this all points. So first characteristic is that they receive heat from high temperature source, that is oil furnace, for example oil furnace, nuclear reactor, etc. Again next is the they convert part of this heat to the work, they reject the remaining waste heat to the low temperature reservoir, and they operate in a cycle. So these are the characteristics. So heat engine is a device which working in a cycle and converts energy in the form of heat into the work. Hello friends, let me welcome you all in the lecture series for AMVI mains examination, a complete guide. Today in this lecture we are going to discuss the Carnot cycle, then the reverse Carnot cycle along with Carnot principles. Also we are going to discuss the Carnot heat engines, and at last we'll discuss the Carnot refrigerators and heat pump. So let us start with the Carnot cycle. As we have already discussed in my previous lecture that heat engines are cyclic devices, and the working fluid of a heat engine returns to its initial state at the end of each cycle, and work is done by the working fluid during one part of cycle and work done on the working fluid during another part of cycle. And the difference between these two work done two is the net work delivered by the heat engine. And the efficiency of this heat engine cycle greatly depends on how the individual processes that makes up the cycle are executed. And the net work, thus the cycle efficiency can be maximized by the by using reversible processes. But these reversible cycles cannot be achieved in practice because irreversibilities associated with each process cannot be eliminated during this process. However, reversible cycles provide upper limit on the performance of real cycles, and the heat engines and the refrigerator that work on the reversible cycles serves as a models to which actual heat engine and refrigerator can be compared. So reversible cycles also serve as a starting point in the development of actual cycles and are also modified as needed to meet the required requirement or certain requirements of the process. And probably the best known reversible cycle is the Carnot cycle, and it is firstly proposed in 1824 by French engineer Sadi Carnot. The theoretical heat engine that operates on the this Carnot cycle, it is called Carnot heat engine. Okay, the theoretical heat engine that operates on the Carnot cycle is called the Carnot heat engine, and the Carnot cycle is composed of four processes, which are two are reversible adiabatic process and another two are reversible isothermal processes. Okay, in detail we are going to discuss now. So let us consider a closed system that consists of a gas and contain that gas in a adiabatic piston cylinder device. Okay, as shown in this figure. Okay, now here the insulation of cylinder head is such that it may be removed to bring the cylinder into contact with a reservoir to provide heat transfer, and the four reversible processes that make up the Carnot cycles are described as follows. So first process is reversible isothermal expansion. So you can see process 1 to 2, that is reversible isothermal expansion. Initially that means the state 1. Okay, initially that means the state 1. The temperature of the gas is TH. Okay, also I have shown in this diagram, and the cylinder head is in close contact with the source temperature, that is TH. Correct, and the gas is allowed to expand slowly and by doing work on the surrounding, and as gas expands the temperature of that gas tends to decrease. But as soon as the temperature drop by an infinitesimal amount, that is dt, some heat is transferred from the that reservoir into gas, and the rising the gas temperature to TH, thus the gas temperature is kept a constant, that is at TH, since the temperature difference between the gas and the reservoir never exceed a finite differential amount, that is dt. So this is a reversible heat transfer process. It continues until the piston reaches position 2. Okay, this position. Okay, and the amount of total heat transport to the gas during this process 1 to 2 is is QH. Okay, is QH. Okay, so this is the first reversible isothermal expansion. Then second process is a reversible adiabatic expansion, that is process 2 to 3. You can see here also. Now during this reversible adiabatic expansion process, that is 2 to 3, temperature drops from TH to TL at state number 2. Okay, now this at state number 2, the reservoir that was in contact with the cylinder head is removed and replaced by insulation, so that the system becomes adiabatic. Correct, and the gas continues to expand slowly and doing work on the surrounding until its temperature drops from TH to TL, that is state number this 3. State number 3. Okay, and the piston is assumed to a frictionless and the process to be quasi equilibrium. So the process is reversible as well as the adiabatic. Okay, so this is second process belongs to Carnot cycle, and the third one reversible isothermal compression, that is process 3 to 4. Now during this process temperature drops from TH to TL. Okay, TH to TL, and at state 2, at state during this process TL is constant. TL is constant, not it is going to drop, and infinitesimal heat transfer will occur to the that sink which is at temperature TL, and the temperature differential never exceed, that is dT. Okay, during this reversible isothermal process, and the total heat transfer during this process is QL. Okay, heat transfer at TL. Okay, that is QH. Okay, then next process is the reversible adiabatic compression, that is process 4 to 1. Now process 4 to 1, here temperature rises from TL to TH, TL to TH at state 4 is such that when low temperature reservoir is removed, then the insulation is put back on the cylinder head and the gas is compressed in a reversible manner. The gas returns to its initial state, that is state number 1. State number 1, and the temperature rises from this TL to TH during the reversible adiabatic compression process, and which completes this total entire cycle. Okay, so these are the 4 processes in this Carnot cycle. Now the PV diagram of this cycle, Carnot cycle, as I have shown in this figure, remembering that on a PV diagram, the area under the process, this process curve represent the boundary work for internally reversible process. Okay, and we see that the area under curve A was 1, 2, 3 is the work done by the gas during the expansion part of cycle, and the area under 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1 is the work done on the gas during the compression part of the cycle, and the area enclosed by the path of the cycle, that is area 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 is the difference between these two, and it represents the net work done during the cycle. Okay, now here notice that if we acted stringly and compressed gas at state 3 adiabatically instead of isothermally in an effort to save QL, we would end up back at state 2. Okay, and retracting the process path 3 to 2. By doing so, we would save QL. Okay, so this point you can remember. Now being a reversible cycle, this Carnot cycle is the most efficient cycle. which is operating between two specific temperature limits. Correct. And even though the Carnot cycle cannot be achieved at in reality, the efficiency of actual cycle can be improved by attempting to approximately this Carnot cycle morely closely, we can say. Okay, so this is about the Carnot cycle. Let us discuss the reversed Carnot cycle. The Carnot heat engine cycle just described, that is that is totally reversible cycle. Therefore, all the processes that comprise is it can be reversed, in which case it becomes the Carnot refrigeration cycle. Now this time the Carnot remains exactly the same. The cycle remains exactly the same, except that direction of any heat and work interaction are reversed. Heat, heat in the amount of QL is absorbed from the low temperature reservoir, low temperature reservoir, and heat in the amount of QH is rejected to the high temperature reservoir, and a work input, that is W net in, is required to accomplish all these things. Okay, so the PV diagram of reversed Carnot cycle I have shown here. Okay, so PV diagram of the reversed Carnot cycle is the same as the one given for the Carnot cycle, except that the direction of processes are reversed. You can see also, okay, the direction of QL and QH. Okay, so this is called reversed Carnot cycle. Here only we have changed the direction of the processes. Okay, now let us discuss the Carnot principles. Now, as we know that the second law of thermodynamics puts the limit on the operations of cyclic devices as expressed by the Kelvin Planck and Clausius statements. Okay, and heat engine cannot be operated by exchanging heat with a single reservoir, and a refrigerator cannot operate without a net energy input from an external source. Okay, that we know. So we can draw valuable conclusions from these two thermodynamics, the second thermodynamics law, and two conclusions pertain to the thermal efficiency of reversible and irreversible, that is actual heat engines, and they are known as the Carnot principles. Okay, and it is expressed as follows. The first principle is that efficiency of an irreversible heat engine is always less than that of a reversible engine which is operated between the same reservoir. And the second statement principle is that efficiencies of all reversible heat engines operating between the same reservoir are the same. Okay, for more clarification I have shown this diagram. You can see efficiency of irreversible heat engine is always less than efficiency of a reversible one. Correct. And the efficiency of a reversible heat engine operating between the same temperature are same. Okay, so this is the Carnot principle. Now let us discuss the Carnot heat engine. Okay, now the hypothetically heat engine that operates on the reversible Carnot cycle is called the your Carnot heat engine. Okay, the hypothetical heat engine that operates on the reversible Carnot cycle is called Carnot heat engine, and the thermal efficiency of any heat engine, that is it may be reversible or irreversible, is given by the this formula. Eta Th is equal to 1 minus QL divided by QH, where this QH is the heat transport to the heat engine from a high temperature reservoir at temperature Th, and QL is the heat rejected to a low temperature reservoir at Th. Now, for reversible heat engines, the heat transfer ratio in the above relation, which is I have stated here, can be replaced by a ratio of the absolute temperature of the two reservoirs as shown by the equations. So then efficiency of a Carnot engine we can write for any reversible heat engine as a eta th is equal to 1 minus TL minus TL divided by th. Okay, so this relation is often referred to as a Carnot efficiency, since the Carnot heat engine is the best known as reversible engine, and this is the highest efficiency a heat engine operating between the two thermal energy reservoir, okay, at temperature TL and TH, and can have this formula to calculate Carnot engine.